All right, today we're jumping into a really powerful technique for deep relaxation, one that goes way beyond just getting a good night's sleep. We're talking about Yoga Nidra, something you might have heard called yogic sleep. You know, this quote really gets to the heart of a huge modern problem. We think we're resting when we sleep, but how often do you wake up still feeling the weight of yesterday's stress? The source material just calls that plain old Nidra, but Yoga Nidra, well, that's something else entirely. It's about a kind of sleep that actively helps you unload all those burdens. So that leads to a pretty amazing question, right? What if there was a way to consciously tap into a state of rest so deep, so profound, that it could restore you on levels that regular sleep just can't even touch? Let's dive into that. To really get why a practice like this is so needed, we've got to look at the world we're living in right now. The truth is, we are living through an epidemic of tension. I mean, think about it. The pace of modern life is just relentless. It's created this whole new universe of diseases and disorders. Our bodies and our minds, well, they just haven't caught up. And the result is we're all walking around in this constant low-grade state of tension. And this isn't just about feeling stressed. No, this tension shows up physically. It's fascinating, really. So many of the common illnesses we struggle with today, things like you see on this list, are what you'd call psychosomatic. They actually grow out of the tension we're holding in our minds and our bodies. Okay, so that's the problem. But the good news is there's an antidote. And that brings us to the art of yogic sleep, a practice that was practically designed to counteract this modern epidemic of tension. So what is it exactly? Well, Yoga Nidra is a very specific, structured technique. The goal is to get you into a state of complete relaxation. We're talking mentally, emotionally, and physically. But, and this is the absolute key, you do it all while staying completely aware. You're not just passing out, you're awake for the whole ride. This is where you can really see the difference. Normal sleep, that's an unconscious process. You often wake up with all your deeper tensions still right there. Yoga Nidra, on the other hand, is a conscious process where you systematically release them. Your mind isn't just switched off, it actually becomes incredibly open and receptive. It's a kind of rest that goes beyond just the mind and senses to relax what the practice calls the inner self. So, how in the world does this actually work? It might sound a little abstract, I get it, but it's really a very clear step-by-step journey you take into your own mind. The whole practice follows this clear roadmap. You start by getting into a state of deep relaxation. Then you bring in something called a sankalpa. From there, you're guided on a tour of your body, a rotation of consciousness, then an exploration of feelings, and you finish with visualization. It's a predictable path every time. Let's talk about that second step for a second, the sankalpa. This is so cool. It's basically a short, positive statement, a personal resolve you want to make true in your life. And the real genius here is that you plant this seed right when your mind is in its most calm and receptive state. It's literally like planting a seed in the most fertile soil you can imagine. Then you get to the third stage, this rotation of consciousness, and it's just fascinating. The guide will name different parts of your body in a very specific order, and you just bring your awareness there. And it's not random at all. The sequence follows a precise map in your brain's cortex. It's like you're systematically switching off your entire neural network, one little bit at a time. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds a little mystical, maybe a little woo-woo, but what's incredible is that it's all backed up by modern science. So let's look at the actual proof. So here's what's happening in your brain. Scans show that people doing Yoga Nidra enter this sustained alpha brainwave state. That's that magical zone right on the edge of sleep where you feel super relaxed, creative, and open. Yoga Nidra basically lets you hang out in that sweet spot, consciously. And the results? They are totally tangible. In one clinical study, patients dealing with chronic pain reported, on average, an 81% effective pain relief. That was after just 6 weeks. That is an unbelievable result for a practice that just involves lying down and listening. It's also incredibly powerful for heart health. For instance, in the study you see summarized here, the group being treated with Yoga Nidra saw their average systolic blood pressure drop from 157 all the way down to 118. That's a huge deal. It shows that this practice can be a really powerful, safe tool for managing blood pressure, maybe even as an alternative to a lifetime of medication. But here's where it gets really profound. The potential of this practice goes so much deeper than just relaxation. We're talking about the potential to actually rewrite your inner code. I just love this analogy from the source material. It compares the practice to a phoenix, birding away what are called samskaras. You can think of these as your deep-seated habits, those old mental grooves that we get stuck in. So the idea here is you're not just managing stress, you're actually transforming the very parts of your personality that create it in the first place, allowing you to be, as it says, born anew. So the big takeaway here is that this state of deep, aware relaxation is basically a gateway. I mean, just think about it. You could use this state to learn things more easily, to finally kick a habit you've been struggling with, or even to tap into deeper creativity. It's like getting access to the operating system of your own mind and starting to consciously make some changes. And that really brings us to our final thought. In its highest expression, Yoga Nidra isn't just a relaxation technique. It's seen as a doorway to samadhi, a state of profound bliss and connection with your inner self. And that leaves us with a pretty powerful question. If you could open that door for yourself, what would you hope to find on the other side?